The scene here, Lebanon, the second major front of this war. And this is a largely Christian village where local officials say a Catholic priest was killed after Israeli tank fire hit a house. Several other civilians were also injured in the attack. People in majority Christian villages in southern Lebanon have been defying Israeli evacuation orders. And we also know today Israel's military is warning residents to leave two southern Lebanese cities as they target infrastructure associated with Iran-backed militants. CBC News senior correspondent Susan Ormiston is live for us in Beirut, tracking all of those developments. So Susan, walk us through what's been happening there.
There is no sign of de-escalation in Lebanon in this other front of this war. In the last hour, we've seen fresh airstrikes on the southern suburbs here in Beirut, targeted airstrikes, as we've seen pretty much every day since we've been here. But indeed, warnings from the IDF precede these airstrikes, telling people if they are still in these neighborhoods to get out. Most of these areas are deserted. And then they strike. And there's a vantage point above Beirut where you can actually see the plumes of smoke from the explosions rising up. We also woke up this morning to fresh and urgent warnings from the IDF to evacuate large swaths of areas in southern Lebanon, particularly villages around the city of Tyre. These areas have been struck multiple times, but these were new warnings. And the UNICEF is saying that just in the last 24 hours, there were 100,000 new cases of displaced people, many of them making a treacherous route north to Beirut to stay in shelters. And we went to one of those shelters this morning where we saw families crowded into makeshift tents on bare mattresses, but at least warm and safe. They told us that they had to leave their destroyed villages in the south before airstrikes and that many of their homes were completely gone. They hoped that they would get funds to rebuild their homes, but they don't know at all when they'll be able to return and to what.
Of course, Susan, many in the region are keeping a close eye on what is being said by the U.S. president. And Donald Trump has said the war in Iran is nearly complete. How could that impact Lebanon?
Well, the war is nearly complete doesn't really mean anything to this region because this is indeed almost a separate war between Israel and Hezbollah. Again, renewed fighting here. Hezbollah is showing no signs of backing off or disarming in any way. And Israel has said it will continue to pound infrastructure and command headquarters for Hezbollah until they eliminate the threat to northern Israel. So no matter what the President of the United States says, it is not impacting in this region at all in terms of the severity of this war and the continuity of the airstrikes here in Lebanon, but also sending drones and missiles across the Israeli-Lebanese border into Israel. So no change on that front. There's a sense that Israel will continue here until it achieves at least some of its objectives. The president, the government of Lebanon is now calling on allies to provide a path for direct negotiations with Israel, but so far that hasn't gotten any takers for talks at this stage.
Susan, thank you for this. That is Susan Ormiston in Beirut.